thank you for taking the time. Good morning. Two-part question. First, how are you? Second, am I allowed to call you Katie, or is that after I've met you 5 times, I can call you Katie?
You can call me Katie. For
Okay.
sure, you can call me Katie.
And you're doing well this
I'm
morning?
doing well, thank you. Yeah, so happy to be here and happy to talk about the play and anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the play, very intriguing to me because obviously people know you initially from television,
Mhm.
and the show that you've worked on is synonymous for being kind of a 9 to 5 kind of career-oriented thing. Yet Broadway, and I'm putting words in your mouth, is the most challenging thing that you can do. Because not only do you have to memorize it, it's very structured, but you also have to read the audience vibes. So, what is it in you that makes you go, I want one of the hardest jobs I can ever have?
That just seems to be part of my character, part of my destiny. I tend to do things the hard way. I tend to really gravitate towards challenges. Um, but it's all difficult in different ways. And I would say that I have had a love-hate relationship with plays for that reason. We are not doing Broadway. This is off Broadway, like just barely,
Well,
barely. We might be
Well, to
off.
rudely interrupt you, to me, people make the distinction between Broadway and off Broadway. You're still intensely rehearsing. You're still dealing with the live performance aspect. You still have to do press. So just because it's in a theater between these blocks doesn't mean it's not Broadway. Go
Yes,
off, Katie.
that's absolutely true. And I prefer this intimate setting to a great big, if you're going to go through all of this, and it is rigorous. In memorizing 100 and something pages of dialogue.
Yeah.
Um, this play in particular, I think they're all, my friends and loved ones remind me that I get to the point every single time where I'm like, I can't, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And they're always like, you always say that. And it always does. It's like a chemical thing that happens with the group of people. It drops in and then you know it. And it's such a relief. Yeah. But I really love to be in the room with the people I'm working with, the people, the audience, the people who need to hear the story and see these people that we're playing.
I don't know if you're really a music person, but
Yes.
what you're doing reminds me of how when you see artists who play the Beacon Theater or even bigger venues, but then they have their jazz fusion side project that plays the Iridium, where they say like this is not the ultimate payday or anything like that, but this is the craft, and I have to practice my craft because that's why I got into this in the first place. So that is not a question. Where I'm going with that question is when you started out, did you primarily want to be a theater person?
Pretty much. I mean, to be honest, I was a high school dropout who many times over should have been dead, just the circumstances that I put myself in.
Sure.
And I managed, my parents sent me to a therapeutic boarding school. I got out of there and applied to NYU after a year of community college and got in. So it was all gravy. And I hoped I would make a living and be able to prove my parents wrong. And I have just really gone from, job to job with gratitude for the most part, for my entire career, which is now almost 40 freaking years. And I've been incredibly lucky and blessed. And um, I do forget, we've been in a pandemic. There's been a lot of isolation. Things have changed in the business, the whole
Yeah.
self-tape stuff. I don't do well in a vacuum. And I forget, I showed up for this job forgetting what I'm bringing, I guess. And it's been one of the most gratifying and what's the word? Just
Fulfilling.
fulfilling and confirming. Like I feel
Sure.
so welcome and wanted and sanctioned to bring my perspective. I feel in touch with my perspective in a way that I maybe never have, and it's welcome. And and these actors I'm working with, and the director, Martha the playwright, and Alice, the director, and Javier, Julian, Tamara, and Riley. It's just been a gift. It's a real gift. And I was scared to death because it's very emotional, but I'm loving it.
You mentioned NYU earlier, and nowadays it seems like every showrunner, I'm exaggerating here, but every showrunner, every lead actor went to NYU because we see, Donald Glover and Maya Erskine. I think I'm saying her name right. They're on that show, and they both were NYU classmates. And there's Miles Teller, et cetera. Were a lot of people, when you went to NYU, career people that we would know?
Well, I was at Strasberg with Phil Hoffman. May he rest in peace. Adam Sandler was a year or two ahead of us.
Oh,
at Strasberg through NYU. Kristen Johnston. I know there are others, but those are the ones that come to mind.
so Rick Rubin, I think, was in your era.
Well, that's when they were in Weinstein. Yeah, it was that era. I started there in 1985. I was an 80s club kid.
So Def Jam happened right around you at that point in time. That's very interesting to piece that all together. But back to this show, obviously you're past the point of your career where you have to audition for everything. Like some people,
I auditioned for everything. I didn't audition for this, but I do not. I don't know. I love that people think so well of me that they think I'm just offered stuff. I auditioned for 2 scene roles. I have to audition for everything.
I am puzzled by that, but in this case, you did know the director or writer, and that's how you wound up
Yes.
on this project.
Yes, she sent it to me. Martha Pichet, the playwright, sent it to me in 2015.
Oh,
And we did workshops and different, iterations of it over the years. And then in the pandemic, she asked me to pull it out. And I realized that there were many aspects of my own life that had grown into the play.
sure.
And she said we'd like to do a reading. And so we did, and people loved it and donated money to have this production. Yeah.
And the press release that I got said that it was running through November 3rd. Is that still the closing date?
Yeah.
So what's life like for you after November 3rd? Any idea? Anything you're allowed?
Yeah, I'm going to poll watch on election day in Pennsylvania. That election is pretty much the focus, but I have such a huge life outside of my career and work. Working with Javier in particular, and Alice and Martha, they are all connected to the Actor Studio. Obviously, Javier is the co-artistic director. And Frank, his understudy, is Actor Studio. And it has been so wonderful to be exposed to these actors who are using their instrument, keeping their instruments well greased and fit. And that is something I've been scared and sort of in a vacuum about. And that energy has really inspired me. And I'm really looking forward to kind of embracing my actor self. I'm at a point where I don't have dogs anymore. Our 2 dogs passed this year. My kids don't need me at home in the way that they used to. And I have a freedom to be at work that I have not enjoyed since maybe my first 2 jobs before I've met my future husband and had kids. And so I look forward to nurturing my craft. There are lots of different places where people are working out, the Actors Gym that they do right at AMT. So I'm like focusing on maybe a love affair with myself and my work in a way that I haven't been afforded the gift of time for that and headspace. And I'm also deeply active in social justice issues and different organizations and stuff. So I stay busy. I'm a moving target.
So it sounds like everything came full circle for you in terms of the motivation to work and the motivation to make a difference. That's what I'm hearing.
For sure it did, in a way that I forgot, because when I was in college, I was a part of a political theater group, and I had a dream of like being somehow having a community center where we would create work focused on the issues of the community. There would be a garden. We'd help feed people, give people space to be. And I forgot in just leaving college and needing to make rent, and I completely forgot about it. And I do this thing called Theater of War. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but
That
if
I
you
don't. Tell me more. Then one more question, and then I let you go.
Okay, theaterofwar.com. This guy, Brian Dories, he reached out to me about 12 and a half years ago to do their addiction performance project. He had started this organization, the NIH, commissioned him to create a program to use ancient Greek plays to address issues of veterans and PTSD, suicidality, veterans and their families. So it started there, and now there are well over 20, maybe even 30 different programs that they do, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's incredible work. So that also saves my soul. Yeah.
Well, the last question I have before I let you go is related to all that, because I'm hearing a rejuvenated person that's fallen back in love with the creative process. And, even I feel it as a person who's podcasting and whatnot, that you have your days where you go, I don't make a difference. I don't matter. Why do I even do this? How do you motivate yourself in a field that's so rejection oriented on the
Ugh.
worst of days?
Oh, well, I feel so lucky to have things like Theater of War, like organizations that I'm a part of that are really active politically and socially. I live in Brooklyn, where I meet people on the street every day. I pass people, and I just have a real yearning to connect with people. And the pandemic really brought it to a head. I think isolation is deadly. And to get into that, go down that rabbit hole of I don't matter, I don't make a difference. I brace myself against that just by connecting with the people around me. And it really helps.
So the greater good, the big
Mhm.
picture, and being of service to others is what
Yeah.
rejuvenates you, it sounds like.
Yep. And love. Yep. Love
Cool.
over hate, for sure.
Well, thank you for this
Thank
conversation.
you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for giving back to the craft. I'm really looking forward to what's to come, whether it's theater, nonprofit, on screen, whatever it is, Katie. Thank you for being you.
Thank you so much. I have a great part in Black Rabbit. It's tiny, but it's a new Netflix show coming out with Jude Law and Jason Bateman starring in it, and lots of amazing, amazing actors.
Paltrocast.